Opendoor is in the middle of one of the most fascinating transformations we've seen in the housing and technology space. And while much of the recent conversation has centered on the stock price, the short interest, and the day-to-day trading, I want to take a step back in this video and focus on something that has the potential to define the company for years to come. That is the vision of its new CEO, Kaz Nejatian, and the way he recently communicated directly to investors and the public. Kaz took time to address questions from the Opendoor subreddit, and what stood out immediately was not just the content of his answers, but the way he chose to respond. In an era where corporate executives usually perfect the art of saying a lot without really saying anything, Kaz's tone was refreshingly direct. He said it himself, his rule is to either answer honestly and bluntly, or, if he can't answer because of regulatory restrictions, he will tell you why he can't. That's an unusual level of transparency, and it sets the stage for a very different kind of leadership style at Opendoor. When asked about financials, financing, and the stock price, Kaz pointed out that there are strict SEC rules about what he can disclose outside of formal filings. But rather than deflect or give a generic non-answer, he explained that limitation plainly. He asked people to be patient and trust that the filings will tell the story when the time comes. And then he added something important, that he sees himself as being on the side of the average investor. He's never worked on Wall Street. He doesn't carry the same baggage as some other executives. That statement alone is worth noting, because it signals to retail shareholders that they are not just tolerated, but respected. The more revealing part of his message came when he turned to the product vision. People asked about the homes Opendoor buys, how they are renovated, and what other products might be offered. Kaz was candid. He said the company is going to offer buyer-focused products, and one of those products will almost certainly be something revolutionary, the ability to return a house if you don't like it. Let that sink in for a moment. Buying a home is the single largest purchase most people will ever make, and traditionally it's been filled with friction, uncertainty, and, frankly, fear of making a mistake. The idea that you could return a house the same way you return a piece of clothing or an appliance changes that dynamic completely. It introduces trust, it introduces safety, and it tells customers that Opendoor is willing to stand behind its product. Kaz didn't promise this would roll out immediately, but he made clear that it's important to him and to the company's identity. And that gets at a bigger theme in his answers: marketing. He doesn't believe the best marketing is slick advertising or expensive campaigns. He believes the best marketing is customers telling each other how much they love the experience. Buy houses at a fair price without ridiculous processes. Sell houses at a fair price without endless paperwork. Let the product and the service be so good that the word of mouth spreads organically. That's a philosophy that has powered some of the most successful technology companies of our time. It's about trust, experience, and excellence rather than hype. Kaz also pushed back against a stereotype that has dogged Opendoor and the broader iBuying industry. He said bluntly, "We are not a home flipping company looking to make a quick buck." That's an important distinction. In his eyes, Opendoor is a software company. Its mission is not just about individual transactions, but about tilting the world in favor of ownership over renting. That's a bold and ambitious statement. It reframes the company not as a middleman in housing, but as a platform that exists to help more people become owners, and to help those owners have a better experience. To drive that vision, he pointed to his experience at Shopify. There, merchants didn't just get e-commerce software. They also got payments, loans, tax management, shipping, advertising, the whole ecosystem. Kaz wants to bring that same philosophy to housing. Start with the core product of buying and selling homes, do it exceptionally well, and then build a suite of additional services around it. If the customer trusts you with the biggest purchase of their life, they'll also trust you with adjacent products and services. That's how you expand revenue streams, that's how you grow margins, and most importantly, that's how you build loyalty. This is the crucial difference, according to Kaz, between Opendoor and other companies that have dabbled in iBuying. For some, it was a side hustle. For Opendoor, under his leadership, it's the main quest. The goal isn't to experiment on the edges of the housing market. The goal is to transform the housing market itself, to increase the percentage of people who own homes, to make them love the experience, and to build a long-term platform rather than chase short-term gains. To get there, Kaz laid out 4 key priorities. First, excellence in pricing. This is the lifeblood of Opendoor's model. If you can price homes accurately and fairly, you win trust and you build profitability. Second, buy as many homes as you can responsibly buy. Don't chase reckless growth. Don't average down in bad markets. Be disciplined but be ambitious. Third, be operationally efficient. Kaz has little patience for the millions spent on consultants or bloated overhead. Efficiency is a competitive advantage. And fourth, provide added services. Don't just stop at buying and selling. Build actual products that people want and need, and offer them as part of a broader ecosystem. Taken together, that's a roadmap. And it's not just a roadmap for surviving. It's a roadmap for becoming a generational company in real estate technology. Pricing, scale, efficiency, and services. That combination, if executed well, would put Opendoor in a league of its own. What's striking about all of this is the tone. Kaz admitted he typed his answers quickly, and he ended by saying he needed to go spend time with his wife. That detail matters. It makes him human. It makes him approachable. It shows that he's not hiding behind polished talking points or carefully crafted corporate statements. He's speaking like a founder, like someone who actually cares about the mission and the people it affects. For a company that has sometimes been criticized as overly corporate or detached, this shift in tone is refreshing. It connects with investors, with customers, and with employees in a way that statements never could. Now let's think about the implications of what Kaz is saying. If Opendoor can deliver a return-your-home product, if it can nail pricing models with AI and new data, if it can expand into adjacent services, then what we're looking at is a company that could fundamentally reshape how Americans buy and sell homes. Think about how hard it is to move. Think about the stress, the paperwork, the uncertainty. Opendoor is saying, we can eliminate that friction. We can make it simple, fast, and reliable. And once you've trusted us to handle that, why wouldn't you trust us with your financing, your insurance, your renovations, your taxes? That's the ecosystem play. That's the Shopify playbook applied to real estate. And it's powerful. Of course, execution matters. It's easy to say you're going to transform an industry. It's much harder to actually do it. There will be risks. There will be setbacks. Regulation, housing market cycles, financing challenges, all of these could throw obstacles in the way. But what's different now is that there is a clear vision from the top, and there's a sense of urgency. Kaz isn't talking about rolling things out in months or years. He's talking about moving fast, making decisions quickly, and cutting through the bureaucracy that has held the company back in the past. That speed is an asset, and if it's paired with discipline, it could give Opendoor a real edge. This is why Kaz's message is more than just a Q&A. It's a manifesto. It's a statement of intent. It tells investors that this isn't about flipping homes for pennies on the dollar. It tells customers that this isn't about trapping them in endless red tape. It tells employees that this isn't about bloated processes and consultant-driven strategies. It's about building a software-first company that exists to make home ownership easier, fairer, and more accessible. That's the mission. That's the main quest. And it's one that could resonate for decades if executed well. For shareholders, this is important because it shifts the narrative. Instead of focusing purely on volatility in the stock price, instead of obsessing over daily trading ranges, the focus is moving toward the fundamentals of what the company is building. That's what creates long-term value. That's what separates hype cycles from genuine transformations. If Kaz can back up his words with consistent action, then Opendoor won't just be another story about an overhyped disruptor. It will be a case study in how leadership, vision, and execution can reset a company and turn it into something truly special. As we step back and consider where Opendoor is headed, it's worth remembering that housing is one of the largest markets in the world. It affects everyone. And yet, it's an industry that has seen relatively little innovation compared to other sectors. If Opendoor can bring the same level of disruption to real estate that Shopify brought to retail, then the upside is enormous. And Kaz Nejatian, with his background and his philosophy, seems uniquely positioned to try. In the end, what stands out most is that Kaz's answers weren't just words. They were a reflection of a mindset. A mindset that prioritizes trust, speed, efficiency, and customer experience. A mindset that sees Opendoor not as a side hustle or an experiment, but as a main quest to reshape home ownership. For investors and customers alike, that mindset is both reassuring and exciting. It means the company has a leader who is not only thinking big, but also willing to act boldly. So while the headlines may continue to focus on stock charts and short sellers, the real story might be unfolding in the background, in the vision of a CEO who believes Opendoor can be more than just a participant in the housing market. He believes it can redefine it. And that's why his words matter. Because if he's right, then Opendoor isn't just an interesting trade. It's a long-term story of transformation, of disruption, and of possibility. For those watching closely, Kaz's message is clear. This is not about quick flips, not about cautious half measures, not about looking like every other company that has tried and failed. This is about building something excellent, something trusted, and something enduring. And in a market as important and as massive as housing, that vision could be game-changing.